Recap. Alchemy Emperor of the Divine Dao, Chapter 973, Chapter 3. In the world of martial legends, where blades sang and life hung upon the edge of a breath, even the slightest misstep, no wider than a hair's breadth, could separate the living from the dead. At that very moment, deep within the fiery cavern, such a battle unfolded. Ling Han stood firm like an unyielding peak amidst a storm, his figure calm yet terrifying. Opposite him, the old man of the Luo clan staggered beneath the mounting pressure, his once dominant presence now unraveling piece by piece. The tide of battle had already turned. It was not chance nor fortune, but the overwhelming disparity in strength that dictated this outcome. Ling Han's cultivation had surpassed the old man's by a clear margin, and when he invoked the divine patterns of gravity, the effect was devastatingly precise. Each subtle shift in force distorted the battlefield itself, turning the old man's movements sluggish, unsteady, and fatally flawed. Had Ling Han's strength been equal, such techniques might have yielded little, but power, true power, crushed all resistance. As the ancient saying echoed through the ages, when strength reaches a certain realm, all techniques bow before it. Ling Han had not yet reached the pinnacle where techniques became meaningless, but against this opponent, his advantage was absolute. The old man's robes were already torn in several places, his body marked with fresh wounds. His white hair whipped wildly as he roared in fury, his dignity shattered. "Detestable brat," he spat, blood staining his lips. "You dare offend the Luo clan? You will die a miserable death. Not only you, your parents will be slaughtered, your women reduced to playthings, and your descendants condemned to eternal slavery." His voice trembled with both rage and desperation. "The Luo clan has stood for millions of years. What are you, a mere insect from a small world, dreaming of defiance?" At those venomous words, the temperature around Ling Han seemed to drop. His gaze turned icy. "What a poisonous tongue," he said quietly. Then, his sword moved. With a single thought, Ling Han unleashed the technique that gathered countless paths into one. 10,000 techniques returned to one. A sword ray burst forth, not as a thin streak, but as a dense, overwhelming torrent of power, cleaving through the air like a descending heavenly punishment. In the past, when he still stood at the shattering void tier, such a strike required careful accumulation of origin power, but now he wielded it effortlessly. This ease carried a price. The technique's raw explosive strength had diminished compared to its peak form. After all, it was merely a sword technique suited for the Sun-Moon tier. Its ceiling was limited, yet even so, its might was enough. With this strike, Ling Han's battle prowess surged to the level of 5 stars. Boom, boom, boom. Each collision rang out like thunder within the cavern. The old man's expression twisted in horror as he was forced back again and again, unable to regain control of his footing under the oppressive gravity and relentless assault. "You," he stammered, disbelief flooding his voice. "You're a 5-star genius." His mind reeled. He himself stood a minor level above Ling Han and possessed the talent of a 4-star genius. Yet here he was, unable to gain the upper hand, perhaps even being suppressed outright. There could only be one explanation. This young man before him was a 5-star existence. Such beings were legends. Even the left and right ministers, even the 7 generals, those pillars of the chaotic star's majestic empire, were only 4-star geniuses. Only the Empress herself had reached the mythical realm of 5 stars. And now, one stood before him. Fear took root in his heart. This was not merely an enemy. This was a calamity that had to be extinguished before it could grow. If allowed to live, this youth could bring ruin upon the Luo clan itself. 5 stars? Ling Han let out a faint scoff, his tone almost amused. He did not even bother revealing his more terrifying trump card, the ultimate arrow of the annihilating Dragon Star arrow. If he did, this old man might not even have the courage to remain standing. Still, Ling Han's thoughts remained clear. Techniques were bound by their tiers. The 3 styles of black origin he currently employed could elevate his battle prowess by 1 star, but once he reached higher realms such as the heavenly body tier, its effectiveness would inevitably decline. Only one thing remained constant: power. Pure, unyielding power. And Ling Han knew he had chosen correctly. To delay his breakthrough and cultivate his strength to the peak of 20 stars within the shattering void tier, this foundation now revealed its worth. With unrelenting precision, Ling Han continued to manipulate the divine patterns of gravity, turning the battlefield into a trap. The old man stumbled repeatedly, his movements disrupted at every turn, his strength unable to fully manifest. To defeat an enemy, one could raise their own strength, or break the enemy's. Had not the Luo clan's own members attempted the same strategy against the Lava Beast King with the Crimson Ground locking net? They sought to drag it down to their level, relying on experience to claim victory, but they had miscalculated. The Lava Beast King had already reached consummation. Even bound, it was a force they could not overcome. Now, fate returned the lesson to them. Under Ling Han's relentless assault, the old man's injuries multiplied, until a final strike. Ling Han's sword pierced straight through the old man's heart. Time seemed to freeze. The old man grasped the blade with trembling hands, his eyes filled with hatred that refused to fade. "Ah!" he laughed hoarsely. "Being a 5-star genius is not always a blessing. When the world learns of you, countless enemies will come for your life." His voice weakened, yet his curse lingered. "I will wait for you in the netherworld." And with that, his life extinguished. Ling Han flicked his sword lightly, the blade humming as it vanished back into the Black Tower. "There is no need for your concern," he said calmly. "When the time comes, I will personally erase the Luo clan and send them to accompany you." He then gathered the spatial spirit tools left behind by the 4 Luo clan members. Inside, he found several hundred true origin stones, along with a single ordinary mountain river stone. Ling Han shook his head. Such gains no longer stirred him. After all, he already possessed 10 special attribute mountain river stones, treasures far beyond this. Returning deeper into the cave, he turned his attention to the Crimson Ground locking net. This artifact, capable of suppressing an opponent's cultivation, was no ordinary tool. Though its limits remained uncertain, whether it could affect Sun Moon tier elites, it was undoubtedly formidable. "With this," Ling Han murmured, "even high extreme elites can be easily suppressed." Yet soon his gaze shifted to the pitch-black boulder. It stood out starkly amidst the fiery environment, like a silent enigma defying the surroundings. Moreover, the Lava Beast King had rested atop it. And mountain river stones had appeared there. Curiosity stirred. Ling Han attempted to lift it. It did not budge. Is it fused to the earth, or simply too heavy? He wondered. He then extended his divine sense, seeking to envelop the boulder and store it within the Black Tower. The environment here was harsh beyond measure, yet his physical body remained unaffected. But his divine sense was another matter. The moment it brushed against the searing lava beneath, a piercing pain shot through his consciousness, as if his very soul was being scorched. Instinct urged him to withdraw, but Ling Han clenched his will. He pressed forward. Bit by bit, inch by inch, his divine sense expanded, enduring the agony. Time passed. 30 minutes later, a faint smile appeared on his lips. Weng! The black boulder vanished. In its place, a deep crater revealed itself, 21 meters in depth. At the bottom lay a swirling black substance, indistinguishable in nature. Water? Metal? Or something else entirely? Whatever it was, it exuded a terrifying presence. Ling Han picked up a rock and tossed it into the crater. Pa! The rock shattered instantly upon contact. He froze. The mountains here were incredibly stable. Even his full strength could barely leave marks. Yet this force obliterated the rock effortlessly. Terrifying, he muttered. Then, something changed. From within the black surface, a face began to emerge. It rose slowly, as though the substance itself stretched to allow its passage, yet never broke. The face was human. It had eyes, a nose, a mouth, yet its sheer size was monstrous. Even compared to the massive boulder that once covered it, the face was only slightly smaller. Larger than a manhole cover, it hinted at a body of unimaginable scale. Despite the barrier between them, Ling Han could feel it, a suffocating aura. His soul trembled. So powerful, he whispered. This existence had undoubtedly surpassed the Sun-Moon tier, perhaps even beyond the heavenly body tier. Understanding dawned upon him. That black boulder was no ordinary object. It was a seal, a suppression, a weight meant to imprison whatever lay beneath. The face rose further, reaching about 9 meters, then stopped. It could go no higher. It smiled. Its lips moved, yet no sound emerged. Moments later, however, a voice echoed directly within Ling Han's mind. Lowly human, open this passage for me. A pause. "And I shall grant you a life of glory." Ling Han chuckled softly, his eyes glinting with amusement. "Is that," he said slowly, "how you ask for help?" The cavern was silent, yet beneath that silence lurked something ancient. Something that even the flow of time dared not disturb. Ling Han stood before that pitch-black surface, his gaze sharp, his senses fully alert. He had already tested it. His divine sense could not pierce through. The moment it brushed against that dark veil, it would be annihilated without a trace. This was no ordinary barrier. It was something that could crush even the surrounding stone like dust. From this alone, Ling Han understood a chilling truth. Whoever stood beyond that darkness was far, far stronger than him. And yet, that being could not cross over. Otherwise, there would be no need for temptation. A face slowly emerged from the black surface, distorted, looming, like a phantom struggling to break through the fabric between worlds. Its mouth opened, but its voice did not travel through air. Instead, after a brief delay, it echoed directly within Ling Han's mind, cold and domineering. "Lowly human, do you know who I am?" The words pressed against his consciousness like a tidal wave. "Open the passageway for me, and I shall grant you a kingdom to rule." Ling Han's eyes flickered with curiosity rather than fear. Instead of retreating, he stood his ground and responded calmly, his voice steady despite the unseen pressure. "Oh, then tell me, who are you?" Though his voice could not cross the barrier, the being beyond clearly perceived his intent. Such was the overwhelming disparity in power. A pause. "Then I am one of the most powerful existences in this world. You may call me Demon Master Zhen Yi." The name struck like thunder. Ling Han's pupils shrank. "You're from the netherworld. Only beings of that realm would proudly bear the title demon. There, it was not an insult. It was a mark of supremacy, of dominance. To be called a demon was to be revered like a god. Then what did it mean, to be a demon master? Ling Han could not say for certain, but one thing was clear. This Zhen Yi might even surpass the Empress of the Chaotic Star's majestic empire. His thoughts raced. This mystery realm, created by a Genesis-tier elite, a place between realms. A fracture, a weakness, a bridge waiting to be opened. Then this black surface. It was no mere obstruction. It was the boundary between the immortal realm and the netherworld. As if confirming his realization, laughter thundered from the other side. "Ha! Correct!" Zhen Yi's voice roared with pride and madness. "I am an elite who commands the tides of the netherworld. Human, assist me in breaking this seal, and I shall grant you the status of a demon servant. I shall bestow upon you supreme demonic arts beyond your wildest dreams. Temptation, power, glory, promises that would shake the hearts of lesser men." But Ling Han only smirked. "Have you gone mad from your demonic cultivation?" he replied mockingly. "I think you should stay exactly where you are." The temperature seemed to drop instantly. "Who man?" Zhen Yi's roar shook Ling Han's mind. "This barrier cannot hold me forever. Hundreds, perhaps thousands of years at most. I offered you eternal glory, yet you refuse. When I break free, I will cast you into the deepest demonic prison and let you suffer torment without end." Ling Han only chuckled. "I'll be waiting," he said lightly. "And besides, you call yourself a demon master, yet here you are threatening someone at the mountain river tier? I'm truly honored." For a moment, silence, Zhen Yi was left speechless. If he had the ability to escape, why would he bother negotiating with someone like Ling Han? Finally, he snorted coldly. "Human, this is your final chance. Do not destroy your own future." But Ling Han had already made his decision. A being like this, once released, would bring calamity beyond measure. Without another word, Ling Han shifted his focus inward to the Black Tower. Within its internal world, the black boulder hovered quietly, yet beneath it were countless intricate divine patterns. Layer upon layer, complex beyond imagination. Now he understood. This boulder was the key to suppression. With a single thought, the boulder vanished from within the tower, and in the next instant it appeared above the crater. Zhen Yi's expression twisted with rage, but before he could react, pang! The massive boulder crashed down like the fall of heaven itself. The earth trembled, the crater vanished, the darkness was sealed. A final cry echoed within Ling Han's mind. "No!" And then silence, complete and absolute. The suppression had taken hold. Ling Han exhaled slowly and sat down, deep in thought. If this place existed to suppress the connection between two realms, then why allow people to enter at all? Why scatter treasures like mountain river stones within? Was it not deliberately attracting cultivators? Then realization dawned. If something was forbidden completely, humans would only become more desperate to break in. Better to guide them, distract them, let them chase treasures so they would never question what truly lay beneath. A clever design, yet not a permanent solution. One day. The barrier would fall. Ling Han rose to his feet. He had gained much this time. 8 mountain river stones, 7 of them, special attribute stones, and even spiritual meat, something that would aid his breakthrough into the immortal level of body arts. It was time to leave. As he walked through the winding cave, he encountered several other cultivators. Each one glanced at him with caution, their eyes filled with suspicion. No one lingered, no one trusted anyone here. In this place, carelessness meant death. Hours later, he finally emerged from the cavern, and there, waiting on a nearby boulder, sat 2 figures, 2 women, each breathtaking in her own way. One was pure and radiant like a lotus blooming in still waters, the other alluring and captivating like a flame dancing in the night. Shui Yanyu, Hu Feiyun. Ling Han, you finally came out. Hu Feiyun complained immediately, her tone filled with impatience. Sister Shui and I have been waiting forever. Ling Han smiled gently at Shui Yanyu. Sorry for making you worry. I wasn't worried. She shot back instantly, her stubbornness as unyielding as ever. Hu Feiyun leaned forward eagerly. Well, did you kill that big ugly beast? Shui Yanyu shook her head lightly, smiling. That lava beast king was at the peak of the high extreme. Killing it is impossible. Being able to steal a mountain river stone would already be incredibly fortunate. Ling Han raised a hand, pretending to pinch her cheek. So little faith in your husband? He teased. Perhaps I should punish you? Shui Yanyu jumped back instantly, her face flushing red. Pervert, Ling Han laughed. This is perverted? You're far too innocent. Her mind involuntarily drifted back, to that kiss. To that moment when something had pressed against her. Her cheeks burned even brighter. Her eyes shimmered with an unconscious charm. Ling Han quickly looked away. Dangerous. Far too dangerous. If he kept staring, he might lose control entirely. He cleared his throat and changed the subject. Where to next? Windmill Mountain is closest. He pointed at the map. Windmill Mountain, a place of 18 peaks arranged like a giant rotating formation, half buried underground, half piercing the sky. When it moved, the winds it generated could tear cultivators apart, even more dangerous than the flame cave. But the reward? Metal element mountain river stones, divine patterns of sharpness, power that could greatly enhance one's attacks. Without hesitation, the 3 set off. Yet before they could even reach halfway, an overwhelming force descended, invisible, irresistible. Shoo, the world twisted. In the blink of an eye, they vanished. And when they reappeared, they stood in a vast wilderness. Around them, more than 1,000 cultivators looked around in confusion. Above, powerful figures moved swiftly through the air. The truth became clear. The heavenly sea mystery realm had closed. Just like that, Ling Han felt a trace of regret. 6 locations for special attribute stones, and he had only explored 2. Not enough, far from enough. But before he could dwell on it, a chilling sensation crept over him. Killing intent, several of them, locked onto him. Sharp, unforgiving. And in the next instant, Shua! A sword slashed through the air with deadly precision, a strike meant to take his life.